What is up, guys? Josh here from the couch, and today I want to just kind of rant for a second about New World. I've been playing this game for like 12 hours now, and I'm gonna make a pretty hot take. I think this game is fucking awful. I think that it has a lot of good ideas, but I think it's one of the worst executed MMOs I think I've ever fucking seen. Um, and I think that, like, a lot of people are saying, like, the crafting, the gathering is super good, and I would tend to agree. I mean, if you look at my trade skills, obviously I've spent a lot of my playtime gathering and crafting and not doing combat. And I'll kind of get into that in a minute. But just the only thing I'm going to say about the crafting and gathering is, yeah, it's generally pretty interesting. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the push button receive item crafting style, but you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And the whole like item level variance and the going out and actually gathering stuff can be decently fun. And you know, I don't have any problems with it. The problems I have with this game basically all stem down to three things: combat, mobility, and diversity. So combat is what I'm going to start with first, and the way the game works, if you're familiar with MMOs in general, specifically if you're familiar with the game Elder Scrolls Online, you'll know the system that this is using. Essentially, you equip a weapon which acts like your class. So in this case, I have a hatchet, which I'm swinging currently. And then you can actually equip a second weapon, in which case I have a bow. And if you hit the 1 and the 2 keys, you can swap between them. This gives you access to skills that this weapon has access to. You get 3 skills per weapon equipped, so you get a total of 6 skills. This is incredibly low for the number of skills that you'd want for a video game. And my biggest problem with all the skills is that most of them, if you go into Weapon Mastery and you actually click through them, are just variations of deal damage to the target in front of you, deal damage to the targets around you, or jump forwards or backwards and deal damage to the target in front of you. It's incredibly simplistic. For example, the hatchet, which is my preferred weapon at the moment, has 2 trees. One's a throwing hatchet tree, which I ignore because ranged weapons aren't really very good in this game. The other one is the Berserker, and it has an empowering buff that makes me deal more damage. It has a dash forward and deal damage, and a dash forward and deal damage. And so, yeah, essentially I have just like all of my skills essentially do the same thing, which is just go forward and dealing damage. There's not really a whole bunch of interesting ideas and concepts as to how to play your class. It's just simply go hit things. My Q ability, which you can see in the bottom right hand corner, is my Berserk ability, which empowers you, makes you move a little bit faster, makes you hit a little bit harder. Generally, I mean, that's pretty fun to use. In my case, it heals me as well because I have a trait, but I'm going to show you something in just a minute that really bothers me with this, and I'll kind of demonstrate it with my R ability. In this game, there is a massive amount of animation lock. So if you're using your abilities, you're actually locked into that animation, and it's very hard to maneuver. So like if I hit R and I try to like move, I'm stuck moving forward in that R animation. If I try to do my rush attack, I can kind of spin, but not much. And the real egregious one is the Q. The Q is a buff, right? All it does is give me 20% increased damage. So could I ask why it stops me from moving for half a second? Now, I know that to a lot of people it's like, oh, it's no big deal. You're standing still for like a half a second. No, that's a huge deal because it messes up the flow of combat. It takes me out of the action. If I'm chasing down an enemy, I then have to stop in my tracks while my character screams, and then I can actually chase them down and fight them. It just doesn't feel good, and almost every single class has this problem of these skills just don't feel good to use. And I'll actually get into combat in a second, and I'll show you that most of the time, because of the animation lock, you don't track the target that you're trying to hit with it, which means that they're probably just going to not get hit by half of your attacks, or they're going to stun lock you out of it. And so that's why I really dislike the combat. Again, having a total of 6 skills and all of them basically being just do more damage is really freaking boring. The fact that you can't really weave them very well with your auto attacks kind of sucks. Your auto attack has a power attack that takes so goddamn long to charge up and does so little damage compared to just spamming the mouse button that it's just not worth using. There's so much in this combat that's just not there yet. And then, I mean, briefly while we're on combat, the bows and the muskets, if you look at here, we have ranged weapons. For some fucking reason, you need to craft ammo for these things. They do basically the same amount of damage as a sword does, but you need to craft ammo for them. Which means that if you run out of arrows, in this case I have iron arrows equipped, I have to go out into the world, find iron, mine that iron, and then come back to a town to craft ammo. This just kind of feels awful compared to just using a damn sword. It's just annoying. They need to remove that entirely, I think. Especially because there are different tiers of ammo, which means that ammo obviously is an important aspect of it. And it's so difficult to find some of these resources, especially until you get into like the upper 50s or 60s of your mining skill and you can start tracking things like iron. But even then, it's a pain in the ass to go and find iron. It's just so unnecessary to basically... What I'm seeing from this is that they don't want you to play with the bow and the musket. They don't want you to play with these weapons. They want you to play with the magic casting weapons or the throwing hatchets if you want to use a ranged weapon. So that's my spiel on combat. I think this combat is lazy. I think it's boring. I think that there's basically no redeeming quality to it. There is not an enemy I've come across in this game that the strategy I've employed with it has not been to tank and spank all the way through. Just get into its face, mash my buttons, and ignore blocking and ignore attacking. But now we're gonna go and we're gonna move on to questing and traversal. Now this is my like faction guy, and this faction guy offers faction missions, and I'm just gonna go ahead and accept a couple of these just to prove a point. You can get 3 different types of missions from this guy. 3 different kinds of missions. One's a raid where you go and you fight things. One's a plunder where you go and you loot things, and one's a hunt where you go and you find a monster. These infiltrate, show of strength, and sabotages you can do once you get to a higher level, but in the early game you're going to be doing these 3 things. These 3 quests are identical every single time. There are about 2 to 3 areas around each city that you can pick these up in where you will go to do these things. So you're basically doing the same quests over and over again, and you'll be doing a lot of these in order to rank up with your faction. I've done probably 2 dozen of these quests, and I'm not even level fucking 2. Just to go how slow this actually goes. Yeah, and you can see like these are PvE and these are PvP. So really quickly, let's take a look here. And if you hit the map screen, this 2 and this 3 are going to be the raids. So we have 1 at the mine and we have 1 at this area over here. Now, something that's not really shown on the map and something that I'm just going to go run and I'm going to do some of these while I'm ranting about the game is it takes for fucking ever to get anywhere in this game. This is the fastest you can move. I am in heavy armor right now, which means that I'm moving a little bit slower than somebody in full light armor, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's basically the same speed. What really changes with your armor type is just your dodge distance, which doesn't really fucking matter because dodging in this game is not really worth it at this point. Probably until you get to the higher levels. But essentially, this is as fast as you can move. You have a stamina bar, as you can see when I'm dodging, but for some reason, you can't sprint. You can't spend that stamina to gain movement speed. Instead, you can hit the control key, which instead just makes you walk, which is fucking useless. So, moving anywhere in this game takes forever. Right now, I have to get over to this mine area over here, so I'm just going to be following the road. And something else you might have noticed while I was putting that marker down, this game, very conveniently, is missing a very key function of basically every game ever. It doesn't have a goddamn mini-map. And now I know what you're saying. Oh, you need a mini-map? Would you have such a bad sense of direction you can't even fucking think straight? You need a mini-map for everything? No, I don't need the mini-map, but it's a matter of fucking convenience, you know? I want to get to this mine. There's this giant cliff in the way of me, and I would love to be able to see on my screen the route that I have to take to get around this mountain efficiently without having to keep hitting the map key. It's really fucking annoying. Another really annoying thing about traversal in this game is that you can open your character menu. You can actually open your character, your journal, all this stuff while you're using the auto run function. So you can do this, you can open all this cool stuff, right? Well, there's one menu that you cannot open while auto running, and that is your inventory screen. Your inventory screen, because they want you to have this picture of your character over in the side here, stops you from moving if you want to check something out. So if you've looted something or if you've gathered something out in the world, like here, I'll go gather some of this iron ore over here. If you want to go gather some iron and then you want to check that out in your inventory, I can't open my inventory right now while I'm mining this iron, but I can open the map. Why not? Why can't I open the inventory? It's such a simple fucking thing. Why can't I open the inventory screen? Anyways, we've been running for about 3 minutes now, minus the little 20-second detour to get that iron. And I'm going to go over to this number 3. I'm going to go to the further one just to kind of prove a fucking point about the questing in this game. Just because I have a grudge. And while we're there, I'm going to talk about the third thing, which is diversity. And don't worry, it's not the diversity you think I'm talking about when I'm saying that. It's 2020, but what the fuck ever. The diversity I'm talking about is mob diversity. In all of these areas, I can zoom out even further. In all of these areas, there are camps and there are forts and there are ruins where there are enemy monsters and mobs. 90% of these are the same monster at different levels. They are either these skeletons that I'm coming up to right here, these celestial enforcers and sentinels, or they are zombies. And that's it. That is literally it. Ow. Got hit running past that guy. There is no mob diversity in this game, and believe it or not, all of these enemies share attack patterns. There is no interesting new abilities between monsters. There are a couple of unique monsters per faction. There's a giant zombie, and there's like this javelin-throwing skeleton. But besides those two options, I'm level 20 out of 60, and I have not encountered any unique monster at all in the entire time that I've been playing. That's insane to me. So you're fighting the same things over and over and over and over and over and over again. I'm gonna let that guy deal with that. It seems like he's having a time of it. Okay, so we've reached this area here, which we now have to. What do we have to do? We've investigated a threat. Defeat ancient guardians. We have to defeat 8 ancient guardians, which are these skeleton guys here on the floor. So we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna start doing this. I throw my buff, and again, like you can see, the first part of that attack there missed that enemy. One of my auto attacks, even though I was point blank range, missed that enemy. And this is basically the combat. You're just mashing fight at each other until one of you falls. And I mean, occasionally you get some loot, you get some stuff, but like that's it. Because there's no ability other than just deal damage, all you're doing is just hitting things. This is it. We've peaked here. This is the whole combat. And yes, you have a block. You have an ability to stop the enemy from hitting you, but it's pointless. There's no need to block in this game. Like, watch, I'll show you. Hey, buddy, hit me. Why would I block that when all I need to do is just mash my buttons on him and he'll die, right? And so what it comes down to is that the combat in this game is dull, it's boring, it's awful, it's stupid, and I hate it. Because, like, no matter how dangerous this enemy is that's in front of me, my combat style will never change. My combat style will always just be run into his torso and hit him. Okay, so we've completed our raid. We've killed 8 things. That took about a minute of time. We've been running over here for 4 minutes, and it took me a minute to do the combat. This is a theme with this game. This is a theme with this game. You will spend about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, running to a quest that will take you about 30 seconds to a minute of time to complete, and then you will run back. About 80% of your time playing this game will be running from point A to point B. Like here we have a cat, same deal, no mechanics, it just goes, right? 80% of your time playing this game will be running from point A to point B, and then 20% of your time will be spent in the actual area, in the actual game, fighting a monster, looting chests, having fun, like, engaging in the content of the game. Why? God, why? Why should I spend 80% of my playtime running? That's awful. That's terrible. I don't play this game, I don't play any game, to run to the quest objectives. Why does it take so long to do this? And then the last part of traversal is fast travel, right? Fast travel. The ability to travel instantly to specific points on the map. These fast travel points, settlements, other towns in the area. You'll notice under this fast travel thing, there's this essence, this blue essence. And this essence is like a currency to teleport, a currency to fast travel. If you don't have it, you can't fast travel. This fucking sucks. This fucking sucks. Because it's very hard to get this stuff. It's very challenging to get this blue teleport goo. This blue teleport goo also is used in crafting to guarantee perks on your crafted gear. This stuff just reeks pay for convenience to me. If this particular blue junk, this whatever the hell it's called, is not a paid resource in the retail version, I will be fucking flabbergasted. Because it screams pay for convenience, pay for fast travel. And then the other thing is that your recall, which is like your Hearthstone if you're a World of Warcraft player, is on an hour-long cooldown. And so not only does it take 5, 6, 7 minutes to go out to your quest zones, and 5, 6, 7 minutes to get back, if you wanted to speed that up with a Hearthstone, you just kind of have to wait an hour to do that. And so what I actually found myself doing was going out and doing a quest. Like, I have a quest all the way up here. It would take me 10 minutes to run there. So I'll run there, and then I'll do the quest, and it'll be like, oh, okay, cool, now you have to run back to the settlement. Instead of doing that, I'll log off and wait an hour for my Hearthstone to come back up so I can teleport home for free. Or, like, I had to go to here. I had to come to this town for a quest. It took me 20 minutes to run that far. It took me 20 minutes to get that far. And all I had to do was talk to the innkeeper, and then I had to come all the way back here to turn that quest in. And they wanted me to spend 100 of this limited resource to teleport. So instead of that, I stopped playing the game. I logged out of the video game, and I waited an hour and teleported back. The travel in this system is awful. We need mounts. We need sprint. Fuck, I mean, look at Black Desert Online for doing this stuff right. Their auto-run feature keeps you on the road. You put down a waypoint in Black Desert, you hit the T key, and your character just says fuck it and runs right to the objective without you needing to put any input in at all. Where's that system here? That would be a much better system here. And so, yeah, we've just spent all that time. We've spent 19 minutes in this video, 19 minutes in this rant. We left at 11, we're back at 20. So we spent 9 minutes on that small quest where all we did was kill 8 mobs, which took a minute. Is that really what you want to spend your time doing in a video game? I would argue no. That's not going to be fun for 500 hours. It's going to get boring really, really quickly. when your rotation is as simple as just hit the damage button and then auto attack until the damage buttons come back up off cooldown. That's the whole gameplay loop. Congratulations, you did it. Like, the best way that I can describe the combat in this game is that it's like if you're playing World of Warcraft, it's like every skill is your filler spell. Or if you're playing Final Fantasy, it's like every skill is your 1, 2, 3 combo. It feels so dull and boring, and I'm so worried that, like, even if they introduce raid content or dungeon content that's genuinely challenging, that has interesting mechanics to it, it'll put people to sleep because the fundamentals of the combat are so freaking weak for a video game. You have 6 goddamn skills total across everything. And depending on your class, they could all be the same, you know? Like, if I were to equip a sword and a shield in my 1 slot and a hatchet in my 2 slot, 5 of my 6 skills would just be hit the thing in front of you hard. That's not interesting. That's not engaging. That's not cool. It's boring. It's fucking lazy. There's no sprint. There's no mini-map. Every quest takes 20 minutes of time, and only fucking 2 of those minutes are actively engaging with the systems of the game. The other fucking 18 minutes is hitting the equal sign and watching your character auto-run to and from the objective. This game has so much going for it. It looks great. The crafting and gathering system is interesting. The trade skills are decently interesting. But there's just so much here that is wrong with this game. Lastly, the last thing I'll talk about in this rant and ramble is the storage system and the whole, like, so Monarch's Bluffs Hamlet is where I started. I started over on this beach, and this is just kind of where I wound up because it was the town that all of my quests happened in. In this quest, or in this town, there's a storage shed, and this storage shed contains all of my crafting goodies that I've gathered in the time that I've been playing. And it has a limited storage space, which kind of sucks. But anyways, the big thing is, if I ever want to move to a higher level zone, I somehow have to get all of my garbage from this storage to, let's just pick like the furthest place away, this storage. Now, my bag, if you look at it, has 300 encumbrance on it, which means I can hold 300 pounds. This shed has 1,000 pounds, so I would have to either make that journey there and back again, which would, again, running here would probably take 35, 40 minutes, or I have to use that bullshit premium currency, which, guess what? It takes more currency the more shit you have in your inventory. Don't think I don't see what you're doing here, Bezos. You're trying to sell this blue teleport goo as a fucking premium currency. I can smell that shit from a mile away. Now, as for performance, my computer sounds like it's a jet engine about to take off. This game's about as optimized as vanilla PUBG. Go fucking figure. It's burning out EVGA 3090 graphics cards, but that's probably EVGA's fault, not New World's fault. But still, like, this game runs like crap. I have a 2080 Ti, I have an i9 9900K, like I have a beefy fucking computer, and my computer sounds like it's dying when it's playing this video game. It's impressive in this day and age to have a game this unoptimized, and you could say, oh, but it's the beta, things are gonna get so much better in the release. The release is August 30th, there's only so much you can do in a month, right? And the beta ends August 2nd. So they're going to have 28 days from the end of the beta to the actual, like, launch of the fucking game to fix all of these problems, and I don't see that happening. I think what's going to wind up happening with this game is that a lot of people are going to try it out. A lot of people are going to jump on the bandwagon. I think a lot of people are going to give up before they get to max level because the combat just sucks. The combat's just shit. And I think that a lot more people are going to get to endgame, realize that there's not really an end game, and quit playing. And one of the biggest issues with New World is that it's a PvP focused game. It's not a PvE focused game. It's a PvP focused game. The endgame content is mass PvP or mass PvEVP. And so A PvP MMO lives and fucking dies on its retained player base. If you don't have people playing your game, no, there is not going to be content for the few people who do, right? If you have a game like, let's take Call of Duty for example. Call of Duty lives and dies on the number of people populating its multiplayer servers. They don't really care about zombies. They don't really care about campaign. What matters is what is happening on their multiplayer servers. And so, I mean, you can see the same thing with with Blade and Soul back in the day. Blade and Soul launched as like a big push on 1v1 arenas and 3v3 tag arenas. And what wound up happening was bots and hackers, and as well as a very, very shoddy netcode and a pretty crap game overall, made it so that Blade and Soul kind of failed because there was nobody to match with. The people you were matching with when you were doing 1v1 PvP were in fucking China. Their ping was so high that they'd be skating all over the arena, or they'd be super high ranked and they just one-shot you. The fact of the matter is, if this game doesn't grab the attention of a decent chunk of the MMO player base, it's going to fail. And unfortunately, with the absolute detonation of Final Fantasy XIV being the best MMO out right now, bar none, fight me if you don't think so. I've played World of Warcraft, I've played EVE, I've played Black Desert, I've played every MMO that's currently popular ever since like Silk Road back in the early 2000s. And like, I have hundreds of days in Final Fantasies. I'm a triple legend title in Final Fantasy XIV. I am a triple cutting edge holder in Mythic World of Warcraft rating. I know what I'm talking about when I say this. Final Fantasy just brings the most to the table right now out of any MMO. And like, if you're looking for an action combat MMO, I think Black Desert's better than this game. Even if you're a free-to-play Black Desert player, even if you don't buy into the pay-to-progress or the pay-to-win elements of that game, I think that Black Desert's a better action MMO than this game is. Hell, I think Blade and Soul is a better action MMO than this game is, and Blade and Soul has gone to shit in the last few years. Fucking Terra just got new management that's trying to breathe new life into the fucking game. So that game might be a better action combat system than this game. The fact of the matter is, in this day and age, in this market for MMORPGs, this combat system and this kind of walk everywhere, take forever to get anything done system is just going to crash and burn. At the end of the day, and I think this is the last point that I'm going to make on this, New World feels like an inconvenient game to play. Everything in this game is a headache. Way more than it needs to be. Doing your faction missions feels about as good as World of Warcraft world quests. Doing your main story quests feels like playing Auto Run Simulator for 30 to 45 minutes. Combat in this game feels awful. It feels like an early 2000s era PlayStation to Xbox 360 era hack and slash beat 'em up game from a small studio. This is not what I would expect from, I mean, I guess this is exactly what I expect from Amazon fucking games. They're an unproven market with only failed titles to their fucking name. But everything about this game screams inconvenient. And what really worries me about that is, why the fuck would Jeff Bezos want Amazon Gaming to make an MMO? Would he want them to create an MMO just to put it out there to deliver good content and leave it alone? Abso-fucking-lutely not. He is going to monetize the shit out of this fucking game. And the reason I think that this game feels so inconvenient is because when this game releases, maybe not right at release, but over fucking time, what you will see is the addition of pay to progress and pay for convenience features that will completely brick this title. Lastly, and I do mean lastly, I think that if you want to improve this game, what you have to do is increase the number of skills from 3 to 5 or 6 for every single weapon and skill tree, and have the 4, 5, and 6 skills, the skills that you get later, fundamentally change and alter gameplay. Make them interesting. Make them important. For the hatchet, since it's kind of like a rogue class, like a fast attacking class, or maybe the rapier, maybe have a skill that deals bonus damage if you're behind an enemy. Maybe have a skill that pulls enemies towards you and CCs them. Do something other than just me hit enemy real good with my abilities. And for fuck's sake, stop with the animation lock. Give me control over my character when I can have it. Like, I understand if you're jumping through the air doing like a stab or a thrust, obviously your character should be forced to move forward. That's how animations work. But for something as simple as a self-buff, don't stop my character for that. And for fuck's sake, please give me a sprint button. And for fuck's sake, please give me a mini-map. How the hell have you done any market research on any, forget MMOs, video games, and somehow fuck up not having a goddamn mini-map? The compass at the top of the goddamn screen is awful. It doesn't give me the information that I need as a player in order to play this game. And it's just so goddamn fucking stupid. Anyways, guys, sorry for this super harsh fucking review of New World. If you've been enjoying New World, power to you. And honestly, I mean, I'm probably going to play out the beta. I'm going to try to get to level 60. I'm going to give this game as honest shot as I possibly can to try to really understand what it is that the vision behind this game is. I want to understand why this game could be good. And because in my opinion, stuff like the crafting system, stuff like the gathering system is really decent. It feels like almost like an Albion Online RuneScape type deal that's mixed with the Elder Scrolls. And on paper, that sounds pretty damn cool. But in practice, it's just so lazily done that I can't get over it. But I really want to stick with it, and maybe I'll make another video once I'm max level, once I've done some of the end game dungeons and game modes. And we'll see if my opinions have changed. I feel really passionate about this because MMOs are my genre. MMOs are like what I play and what I have played for the last like over a decade. And so, yeah, I wanted to get my thoughts out there on this big new thing and just voice my opinion. If you agreed with this, please leave a thumbs up and leave a comment as to what you would change about the game. If you disagreed with this, please leave a thumbs down and let me know why you think I'm wrong, or enlighten me, and maybe I'm missing some features that I'm just not aware of because the game didn't make me aware of it. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to try New World, you can sign up for the closed beta with an RNG chance to get chosen, or you can give Daddy Jeff $40 fucking to get in guaranteed to the closed beta. It might be $30, I don't fucking know. But you can pay to engage with the game if that is what you choose to do. It's available on Steam. And of course I get no freaking, I'm obviously not sponsored by Amazon Games to say this, because this has been a pretty scathing review. And again, not to take away from the things that this game does well. Again, crafting and gathering is good. Territory standings, giving you buffs for staying in certain zones and working in them, is a decently good idea. The world itself is very pretty. The actual like crafting and gathering, like going out and doing the gathering and exploring the world, is rather fun. It almost feels like Valheim or something. When you're running around out there looking for specific resources, it can be a good waste of time. But you can't build a whole game around just gathering. You have to have that combat system locked in, and this game just doesn't have it for me. And so anyways, I'm talking in circles at this point, so thank you so much for watching. And I will catch you guys in the next video, whenever the hell that winds up being. Might be a couple years, might be a couple days, who the hell knows. But anyways, I've been Josh from the couch. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.